Hello everyone, welcome to our Let's Play series of Mass Effect. This is Colonel RPG as usual, and I'm very happy that you're supposed to join me today. Talking to Liara, we have all of our friends, and we're going to Pharos. No, it's the other planet. We're going back there, talking to, I don't remember his name, or their name, anyway. But we're having, like, big revelations about the setting, and I'm having big rambles about everything. So, what's the word? I know it's not strap on. Buckle up? Buckle up, not strap on. Although, sure, whatever. But buckle up, because we're in for some storytelling about Mass Effect.
What's our next move?
Saren knew you were touched by the beacon on Eden Prime. He probably came after me because he feared I could help you understand it. I was able to interpret the data relayed through your vision. What was there, at least. Find the missing portion, and I am confident I can put all the pieces together.
Good to have you on the team, Liara.
Thank you, Commander. I am very grateful. Oh, I am afraid I am feeling a bit lightheaded.
I also have that effect on
When was
people.
the last time you ate or slept? Dr. Chakwa should take a look at you.
It is probably just mental exhaustion, coupled with the shock of discovering the Prothean's true fate. I need some time to process all this. Still, it could not hurt to be examined by a medical professional. It will give me the chance to think things over. Are we finished here, Commander?
We can talk again after you've seen the doctor. The rest of you, dismissed.
Mission reports are filed, Commander. You want me to patch you through to the Council?
Patch him through, Joker.
Setting up the link now, Commander.
Commander, I hope you plan to be civil this time. I don't enjoy getting cut off mid-conversation.
I don't need this.
Communications cut, Commander.
Oh, that's what you... I got an achievement as well. I don't know what that does, but sure, whatever. That's what you get, starting a conversation all passive-aggressive like that. My God, you need to be... I mean, it's... I'm not making actually a personal judgment on the council there. I'm being a jerk on purpose. I mean, there's reasons why I'm being a jerk, but that's beside the point there. Them starting the conversation like that is warranted. Hey, Joker.
I prefer gold to silver, you know, for my medal. I figured you'd recommend me for one since I, pulled your boots out of the fire.
If we present you with a medal, you'll end up sitting on stage listening to politicians make speeches for a couple of hours.
That's a good point. They'd probably make me shave, too. I spent the last 7 weeks working on this baby. No medal's worth that. So, Commander, why don't you tell me why you're really here?
7 weeks working on that baby, he has a very thick beard. I'm not using any, like, extra textures or anything. He has a very thick beard. In the sense, you know, it could be thicker, mind you. There's people with thicker beards, but what I mean is, like, is he being portrayed as having a thin beard and having trouble, I think he might having trouble making the beard, because that's not the kind of beard that is hard to make. I think he's just joking that he hasn't shaved for 7 weeks, and that's all he's saying. Just, sure. I think we're good.
How's the Normandy performing? Is she everything they said she'd be?
She's the best ship in the fleet. If you've got a pilot balance isn't what... The Normandy's probably too much ship for your average Alliance pilot, Commander.
I like to know my crew. Mind if I ask you a few questions?
I can see where this is going. You did a background check on me. You, top of my class in flight school, I earned that.
What do you...
Put the
I think we're good.
in my hands and I'll make
I have to go.
Right,
I don't... Yeah, bye. I don't think we need to talk to Joker ever. He doesn't advance his dialogue. Which is a bit weird, but everybody else does. Presley?
Yes, Commander?
Are we good?
How did you end up assigned to the Normandy?
Yeah.
I signed up with... They had the numbers.
Carry on, Presley.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. The numbers, I mean, I don't... It's cutting the dialogues up and all that is what it is. So, I'm thinking I'll at least be able to have a chat with the people who went on the mission with me. Caden, you take forever to talk, I think. And he also wasn't in a mission with me.
Do you have some time to talk now, Commander?
Oh, yeah.
Of course. Have a seat.
We've played it pretty close to the book so far, but we're a long way from backup. We've got some tough calls to make. I'm just saying, try to leave yourself a way out. I've seen what cutting corners can do, and I'd hate to have that happen to you, Shepard. Commander.
That's not the appropriate way to address your commanding officer, Lieutenant.
I wasn't speaking to you as my commanding officer, ma'am. I don't want to send any bad signals. Just, working on what I've picked up. You tell me if I'm going too far.
Send the good signals then. If you don't, it's like, stop being fake. Let's go with this one.
We haven't had much off-duty time to talk. You have an issue with how things are going?
I'm not questioning any decision you've made, Shepard. Let me be clear about that. It's just my experience that once someone lets something slide, it tends to pick up speed. Do you get my meaning?
Man, the game keeps... Yes, we get your meaning. I don't know if my character does. I'm making that choice. I like the first options, though. They're interesting. It is very uncomfortable, this particular relationship. The fact that he is focusing so much on our rank. Like, this situation is not okay for a few reasons. In terms of, you know, actual interpersonal relationships. But one of the reasons is the fact that Shepard has more power than Kaidan does. In just normal things. More power isn't like she has more power. She's a freaking Raider, Reaper, whatever the guys are. And he's not. And that's that alone. And she also commands this ship. There's a lot of pressure here. It's really bad. It's really, really bad. But it's not to say that it can't work. It's just to say that if it doesn't, then it's really bad. Because she has a lot more power. But what makes it awkward is that he's focusing on that a lot. So I'm gonna have to purposely ignore that, because obviously we're the commander of all the people we're gonna date, because that's how Mass Effect works, I think. Maybe. I don't remember exactly. I remember making choices that were a little bit different from what I'm doing right now. On my certainly on the Renegade side of things, but let's go with this one.
Talk to me, Kaidan. You got a little black rain cloud sitting over your head.
I'll try to keep the deck dry. You know the records about the biotic training out on Jump Zero? They're all classified, because the Alliance made mistakes. After first contact, Kinetics was set up to track Element Zero exposures and develop implants for humans. Once we had an embassy on the Citadel, Kinetics could bring in experts instead of taking it slow.
Is there some reason we couldn't learn it on our own?
They didn't know where to start. Hell, it took a couple of years to even link biotics and EZO. Forget trying to get the kids to move stuff. They had trouble just helping them not break their own limbs. And their choice of teachers didn't help much.
The only experts would have to be aliens.
Dead on. Turians, actually. That's why Kinetics kept it a secret. They were afraid of what people back home would think, asking the Turians for help when we just fought a war with them.
And the Asari would have been more acceptable than the Turians.
Yes, but the company didn't go through the Citadel. It would have made Earth look weak, so they discreetly hired some Turian mercenaries.
That excuse for... I don't doubt that what he's saying is canonically true. And I certainly don't doubt that he's telling the truth for himself. Let's see this last one. The company didn't want to go through the Citadel because they would look weak. Yeah, the political relationship between all these people, it's complicated. But it is weird, the justification that they didn't want to know that the Turians were helping them out when it's such a niche thing as well for the Element Zero, is really... That is a weak justification, because it doesn't have a precedent in real life. Wars are fought, and freaking people from the same country. I mean, I guess there's a racial aspect to this, but that makes it even worse. It doesn't make it better. It makes it worse. Even people from the same country that you are at war with can help you with a company. Like, I'm trying to think of, I don't know, who's China in a war with right now? I'm trying to think. I know they are. There's, of course, I can't talk from experience. Like, I don't know. Imagine they were at war with, I don't know, Taiwan or something. I don't know. I don't know who they are. It's not Taiwan, but still, imagine they were. Would a company not want to have Chinese people, like a Chinese engineer making things? Just like, yes, they're at war, but like you know, and I'm sure this happens like World War II probably. Like in the Germans, you have freaking Einstein is a German. Like again, when we're talking about the race aspect of things, that doesn't make it better, but it does elucidate the issue, because Einstein is a Jewish person, or was a Jewish person anyway. But and of course the Nazis were anti-Jewish, and that distinction there elucidates the Einstein moving to the U.S. Actually, I'm not sure on the timeline. Wait a minute, what am I talking about here? That's not World War II. It's World War I, right? Yeah, World War I. What am I saying? Yes. But still, I'm not actually sure the circumstances of Einstein's moving to the United States. But yeah, you can just think about it. Like, they were at war with Germany, and they, seven engineers, German engineers, whatever, right? And if you're just gonna make it about race, that's even worse. Then it's like, like what? It's like what I'm saying is, that justification feels like the sort of justification you make up to make the plot advance, to add mystery to your plot and be like, yeah, it doesn't make sense that they would hide that they're working with the Turians, and then the other writer goes, no, it does. You need to come up with a reason for that, though, because otherwise this other part of the plot doesn't work quite as well. I want Caden to bang Shepard. Just find me an excuse. And then the other writer would go, okay, I'll find an excuse. I'll write something up. And they did write something up. That's what it feels like, honestly. But I think I investigated all the things. Dismissive of his stuff. You do what you have to do. You had a bad teacher. Let's go with this one.
Get your knuckles wrapped a few times, Lieutenant?
Yeah, you could say that. Our instructor was a Turian by the name of Commander Vernus. To introduce himself, he liked to say, I was at the helm of the dreadnought that killed your father. Well, I told him my dad wasn't in the war. He'd retired to Vancouver. My family had an inland home that matured to new beachfront. Vernus had it in for me after that. He cut corners, pushed hard. I mean, you either came out a Superman or a wreck. A lot of kids snapped. A few died. The point of all of this, I guess, is that when you cut corners, it's not always obvious who pays for it.
Well, the problem is the distinction there that he made between coming out a Superman or a wreck. No, you would come out a wreck, or both a wreck and a Superman. Because that's what happens when you traumatize people to educate them. Unless, of course, you don't traumatize certain people, and then the Superman aspect of it could happen. Imagine you just traumatize half the kids and don't traumatize the others because of whatever reason. Maybe, there's many ways to traumatize people, and one thing can traumatize one person and not traumatize the other. Although wrapping knuckles usually serves to traumatize everybody. But, yeah. This is the part where I can fix you. Yeah, let's go with that.
Am I supposed to talk you down now or something? Because I'm not so good at therapy.
No.
I'm 32, Shepard. You don't serve as long as I have without coming to terms with yourself. You also learn that if someone is...
Oh, you do?
You help them. Try to keep them from making mistakes.
I'm 32. I'm old enough to know my shit. Oh my god. This is weird, because this game was written by people who were older than 32. They should know that is not... I mean, for sure. Maybe he's like, sure, whatever. Maybe he's come to terms with all of his crap, but I'm 33. It's not that I have trauma like that, mind you, thank God. But holy crap, you don't... No. You have closets in your skeleton. You at the age of 80 if need be. Oh boy. Let's see what he says, because I want the good options. You also learn that if someone is special to you, that is the one. It's the first one that I should be going with, isn't it?
Special, huh?
If I'm out of line, just say the word.
You're not out of line, Caden. But there are regs.
I get you, Shepard. I don't make a habit of complicating the chain of command. Just Think about what I said.
There are regs, she says. It's what I was saying before. It's the freaking power dynamics. Because that's basically everything. Every time you have any situation at all, power dynamics plays a role. Because if it doesn't, then it also plays a role in the sense that there are no power dynamics, but you still should analyze things with power dynamics in line. When I say power dynamics, I mean the dynamic between the power wielded by the person, the different people, and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, it's, yeah, so just think about what I said. This line over here, I think.
Just trying to get a sense of where the crew's at. Thoughts?
No, get back
I've
to it.
wasted enough of your time for now, Commander. We'll have time for personal debriefings later.
I guess that's it.
What's your opinion on the last mission?
Dr. Tassoni. She seems nice enough. I mean, if you like the bookish sort.
Ooh.
Any intentions there, Lieutenant?
None, Commander. I prefer adventurous women.
Also, we wouldn't want to have love triangles in here. I'm going to have a love spider, because I'm the center of it, and there's a bunch of... It's fine, whatever. Well, that's it.
We'll talk later, Caden.
I'd like that.
Also, that line, I prefer more adventurous women. That line is said in a specific context. I hope it is also always after the dialogue that we just had. I hope he doesn't say that if we didn't have that dialogue, because that thing can be understood in very... I'm like, Caden, you are... Sure, that is a line and a half.
Yes, Commander? Is there something you need?
How well do you know the Lieutenant?
I'd never worked with him before this mission. But he has an impressive service record, over 12 special commendations. Tends to keep to himself, though. Maybe because of the headaches. It's not easy being an L2.
I should go.
Goodbye, Commander.
I think I had that dialogue already. Liara, I didn't know you were here.
Commander, are you coming to check up on me?
You look much better. How are you feeling?
Dr. Chakwas assures me I am going to be fine. I was impressed with her knowledge of Asari physiology.
You're in good hands. Dr. Chakwas knows what she's doing.
I never properly thanked you for saving me from the Geth, Commander. If you hadn't shown up,
I'm just glad we got there in time.
So am I. I know you took a chance bringing me aboard this ship. I have seen the way your crew looks at me. They do not trust me. But I am not like Benezia. I will do whatever I can to help you stop Saren. I promise.
Don't worry, Liara. I trust you. I know you won't let me down.
It means a lot to hear you say that, Commander. Thank you.
It's really unearned trust right now. There really is very little reason for us to trust her. But sure, and not just because she's an Asari. I mean, there is some reason to trust her, but she could be lying, and if she is, well, anyway, it's kind of interesting because BioWare. I'm trying to think of situations where BioWare does that, where BioWare has a character have you trust them and then betray you. In like, I was lying to you all along kind of betray you, not like Knights of the Old Republic betray you, because that's just, yeah, or even Neverwinter Nights betray you. Mass Effect 3 I didn't play though, or Jade Empire, but I think Jade Empire has a very simple story in terms of the structure, so it might not have that betrayal. But Baldur's Gate 2 has a betrayal, and that was the first BioWare game I've ever played. Don't ask me why I started with the second one. Well, that's the one I had. That's why I started with it. But it was lent. It was like a borrowed. Rather, it's not lent. It was borrowed. That's how English works. But yeah, Baldur's Gate 2 has a betrayal. I feel it's a very memorable betrayal, honestly, and it works really well. I feel it's a very nice bloodline. Liara could definitely be one of those, but I don't think that she is. But there is reason to suspect that she might be.
Tell me about yourself, Liara.
Me? I am afraid I am not very interesting, Commander. I spend most of my time on remote digs, unearthing mundane items buried in long-forgotten Prothean ruins.
She's an archaeologist herself. That's why that's good that I talked about that when we were talking that about that discussion when I was having that ramble. Really, yeah.
Sounds dangerous. And lonely.
Sometimes I would run afoul of indigenous life forms or stumble across a small band of mercenaries or privateers, but I was always careful. Until the Geth followed me to Artemis Tau, I never found myself in any situation my biotics could not handle. As for the solitude, well, that is one aspect that most appealed to me. Sometimes I just need to get away from other people.
Fair enough. Also, remember me talking about European-centric narratives and all that sort about the aliens and all that? Did she notice what she said there? Also, archaeology has a very long and very varied history of super bad behavior in terms of basically stealing people's shit, and also taking advantage of colonizers. That's one aspect of colonization. Is you take their shit, their gold or their statues or their people. But still, what she said there, sometimes I run afoul of indigenous life forms. I hope she's talking about just monsters, but she uses the word indigenous, which is used for people, as well as it can be used for animals as well. And yeah, it's just it's what I'm saying. It's like it's consistent. This game talks about the things in those terms.
You don't like other people?
I suppose it comes from being a matriarch's daughter. People expected me to follow in Benezia's footsteps. They wanted me to become a leader of our people. Matriarchs guide their followers into the future. They seek the truth of what is yet to come. Maybe that's why I became so interested in the secrets of the past. It sounds so foolish when I say it out loud. It sounds like I became an archaeologist simply to spite Benezia.
All children rebel against their parents. It's a natural part of growing up.
Aha, you share the wisdom of the matriarch, Shepard. That is exactly what Benezia said when I told her of my decision. But there was more to it than that. I felt drawn to the past. The Protheans were these wondrous, mysterious figures. I wanted to know everything about them. That is why I find you so fascinating. You were marked by the beacon on Eden Prime.
Oh.
You were touched by working Prothean technology.
Don't try to study me. I was gonna say when she said that matriarchs follow, like, look into the future, so it's kind of ironic that or it's not what she says, but still, I did it despite the matriarch that I turned to the past. I wasn't gonna say anything about that. I mean, I was going to say something, but I decided not to ramble about it. So I'm going to ramble about it now. But the thing is, if you want to know the future, I mean, I am a little bit, obviously I say this because I studied archaeology and I love history and a bunch of things like that. But if you want to know the future, you study the past. That's what you do. Because studying the present is foolish if you don't know the past. And you can't study the future because that's not how it works, right? So you have to study the past to know the future. That's how it works. That's why people with historical knowledge are basically wiser than people without it. It's not to say they're more intelligent, obviously, because intelligence is a complicated subject, but it's, of course, different. What I mean to say is, and they're not necessarily better people either, it's just, it's not a value judgment. It's just... What I mean is that if you study the past, you are going to gain insight and you're going to gain wisdom and you're going to learn more things. Even if your study is misguided or if it doesn't work or if it doesn't, if you don't learn the things you want to learn or if you learn wrong things, it's still, it's better than not doing that. So, being an archaeologist, that's how it works. You learn about the future because it also is where this game is going because, it's a very common way of telling stories. History and story comes from the same origin, and we basically think of history with capital H as our story anyway, so it works like that. The point is, or the reason why I'm talking about it now here, is that the game didn't do that distinction by mistake. The game isn't actually trying to tell us that studying the past is not getting ready for the future. The game knows that studying the past is getting ready for the future, and so does she. The thing is, I was misunderstanding what the matriarchs do. Did I say patriarchs before? I might have said patriarch instead of matriarch. it's kind of interesting that they're called matriarchs because their role is not similar to matriarchal societies in human history and in our world. They're seers. The matriarch is a seer, which is about as honestly, it's about as patriarchal a notion of women, of special women specifically, as it gets. Well, it's not as patriarchal as it gets, but it is a pretty patriarchal or an idea that's pretty well based on patriarchy. Is getting women to be seers. Also historically speaking, but there's also other reasons why that would be. So it's kind of interesting that the game works like that. But I didn't understand what the matriarchs were, mostly because I honestly apparently didn't pay attention. Because now that I'm saying this, it makes sense. The game has been talking about it like that. The game has basically defined the matriarch as a seer. She is a seer. So she does study the future, is what I mean to say. When I said you either study the present or you study the past, because you can't study the future, that's what I was thinking. But, that's why I'm talking about it. It is she can indeed study the future. Anyway, I want to date everybody.
Sounds like you want to dissect me in a lab somewhere.
What? No, I did not mean to insinuate. I never meant to offend you, Shepard. I only meant that you would be an interesting specimen for an in-depth study. No, that's even worse.
Calm down, Liara. I was only joking.
Joking? Oh, by the goddess, how could I be so dense? You must think I am a complete and utter fool. Now you know why I prefer to spend my time in the field with data disks and computers. I always seem to say something embarrassing around other people. Please, just pretend this conversation never happened.
I like the voice actress does such a goofy take on all the lines, because it is, that's how Liara does. Like, she has a there's a word for it. She, social anxiety, obviously, but there's a specific term for being better at, or worse in her case, at conveying meaning through inflection. I actually was reading about this recently, but I forget.
Do you know why Benezia joined up with Saren?
I don't understand it. She was always outspoken about the need for the Asari to become more involved in shaping galactic events. Maybe she thought allying herself with Saren would somehow be for the greater good in the long run. At least I hope so.
This hurts you, doesn't it?
None of this makes any sense to me. I have not spoken to Benezia in many years, but I know her, and this was not like her. Something changed.
I'd like to know more about the Asari.
We were the first species to discover the Citadel. We were instrumental in forming the Council, and we always strive to be the voice of peaceful cooperation in galactic disputes. My people believe we are all part of a single galactic community. Each species contributes something to the greater whole. Although we seek to understand other species, it seems few of them seek to understand us. The galaxy is filled with rumors and misinformation about my people.
What a weird characterization of their species. So, like, on all accounts, let's see what she says in reply to this particular line over here.
Like what?
Most of the inaccuracies are centered around our mating rituals. My species is monogendered. Male and female have no real meaning.
That's what I was saying!
We still require a partner to reproduce. This second parent, however, may be of any species and any gender.
Oh, that's a different thing, though. That's interesting. But it's what I said before. Anyway, they're all trans. It's fine. Well, it's great. It's fantastic. No, but the point is, because they transcend gender, you know what I mean? But the point is, what I was saying is, that's weird that she particularly says that the species seeks to understand the whole community, the whole intergalactic community, right? But most people don't care about them. She specifically says that most people don't care about them, and they just have rumors. While we see this game, the game hasn't. The game doesn't really go too far into how they're seen, how the Asari are seen by other people, but in where it does, they're usually sexualized. Well, I say usually, but again, it doesn't go too far. We don't have enough of a what's the word, like a sample to understand really intergalactic societal norms and all this sort of stuff. But they're sexualized in one aspect. The seer aspect of them is also part of it. So they're sort of, it's not that they're exploited, but they have a specific role in society. Very specific, very niche roles as well. But it's, again, the sample size just is not enough to be able to make this judgment call. But for her to say it like that, for her to say that they just don't care about us, when you have a specific role, they definitely care about you. You might not care for the way they care about you, which is totally fair, but it's a weird way of her. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, let's put that in the back of our minds whenever we talk about the Asari, because that might play a role in us understanding them a little bit better.
I don't understand. Your species can mate with anyone?
Mating is not quite the proper term, not as you understand it. Physical contact may or may not be involved, but it is not an essential element of the union. The true connection is mental. Our physiology allows us to meld with other beings. We can touch the very depths of their minds. We explore the genetic memory of their species. We share the most basic elements of their individual and racial identities. We then pass these traits on to our daughters. It is how we learn to grow as a species and how we develop a greater understanding of other races.
So that means that we had sex and we haven't even started dating. It's what she meant by that. Also, I can't address that, which I find a little bit interesting. Wait a minute, can she have my baby now? Is that how that works? She can lay some eggs. Maybe she has thousands of babies. Who knows? We don't know. I mean, she seems like a mammal. Mammal? What's the word? She got boobs. That's what I mean. Boobs.
What happens to your partner after the union?
Every relationship is different. Some unions are a single encounter with both parents parting ways afterwards. Others can be more long-term. Sometimes an Asari and her partner will stay together for many decades.
Interesting that I can ask who was your father, even though she just said that gender doesn't have a meaning to them. Also, age difference. That's an interesting thing. Let's go with the father. Was Luke your father? Wait, is that Luke? Luke, I am your father. No, that is not. It's the other way around. Anyway, it's the Darth. There's a Darth. Is it the Darth Vader? Is Darth Vader your father?
Do you know who Matriarch Benezia chose as her partner?
Ah, she doesn't say the word.
She rarely spoke of her partner. Though I know my father, if you want to use that term,
I don't.
Was another Asari.
I don't want, because it raises so many questions, and it's also... Why? Also, what? You just absolutely should not use that term because of the answers that... Or the questions that it raises are so much of a problem. Oh my god. Although, in her case, as a character, it makes sense for her to say what she just said, because she's just like, okay, whatever, you heteronormative, cis-normative piece of human crap. Let's see. You don't know. You can do that. Let's go with this one.
Benezia never told you her partner's name?
Union with our own kind is no longer common, not for the purposes of reproduction. Most Asari believe it weakens our species. Asari daughters inherit racial traits from the father species. If both parents are Asari, then nothing has been gained, or so conventional wisdom would hold. I am what is sometimes called a pureblood, though no Asari would ever be cruel enough to say the word to my face. It is a great insult among my people. It is possible Benezia's partner was embarrassed by their union. She may have been too ashamed to publicly acknowledge me as her offspring.
So let me get this straight. They're not... No Asari is cruel enough to say the N-word, but they will treat you as an N-word. Oh, sorry. P-word, the pure blood thing, because it's obviously a reference. But yeah, so they won't say it, but they will treat you like that. They will absolutely treat you like that. Right. Sounds like a little bit of the conversation we were having about Ashley. She may be too ashamed. That's terrible. Yeah,
How could anyone abandon their own child?
I cannot answer that. This is all speculation on my part. It is possible she wanted to be part of my life, but something happened to her before she had the chance. Benezia never spoke of her partner. Whatever happened, it caused her too much pain to dwell on it. She raised me by herself, though that is not uncommon. Many Asari raise their children alone, particularly if the father species is short-lived. Often the partner will pass on long before the child reaches maturity.
You Asari live for 1,000 years. What happens when your partner dies?
Few sapient species live as long as my kind. We have learned to take a philosophical approach to our unions. We do not focus on the inevitable loss of our partners. Instead, we enjoy the time we spend with them. And even after they're gone, a part of them lives on in us. The union is a connection that transcends both time and space.
Oh yeah, because they keep banging their consciousnesses together, so it probably works like that. Ooh, that's a relationship with perks, all right there. So like you get to live a little bit longer, just in the mind of somebody else. There was an implication here that I sort of missed. I was going to talk about it just now, even though we're out of time for the day because of the episode thing, the length. When she said, even after, oh right. It's a kind of a trope, really, for people to say, oh, I wouldn't want to live forever because then I would get to see all the people I love die, which I feel is not right. Like, that doesn't make sense, is what I mean to say. And it also sort of ignores older people and the experiences of older people who have indeed seen everybody that they love. Some people, anyway, have seen everybody that they love die. Not their kids, but in many cases, their kids as well. And like, what I mean is that it's written not from that perspective. When you write immortal. Like, usually it's vampires. You wouldn't want to be a vampire because then you would be immortal or something. I would say vampires, but it could be anything, really. You wouldn't want to live forever because then everybody you would know that dies. Well, I don't know. It just usually that's written from a perspective that is not really. I wish there were. I wish I could hear people who have been in that situation talk about it, because there are plenty of human people who have been in the situation where everybody they know dies, unfortunately, for everybody, including the ones who died and the ones that stay behind. But for not just from war or things, but, just through diseases and just old age. It happens. People don't have kids or they don't have extended family or something, and their parents die, and just it doesn't mean their life loses meaning, and it doesn't mean they can't cope with it. Obviously, they grieve their loved ones. Obviously, they do, but it's just, I think the way Liara here explained it is the nicer way of talking about it. But it does use a little bit of the magical consciousness transfer thingy that just gets, I don't know, stuck on her own conscious a little bit or whatnot with the rest of her lovers. There's a freaking orgy of consciousnesses as she grows older. Anyway, let's not think too much about that. Yeah, there's just there's a little bit of using that to explain away the grief, but I don't think it is as much of a problem as fiction often makes it out to be. The living forever aspect of it, I should say.
I should go.
Goodbye, Shepard.
But not for long, Liara. For this episode, it's gonna be. Are you always gonna wear that? I wonder if I can give her better armor, because that doesn't look like it would protect her very much. But anyway, that's gonna be that for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you had a good time. I hope we'll talk to more people in the next episode. But for right now, I'm Colonel RPG, and this has been Mass Effect. See you next time. Bye-bye.